I'm so glad to have you here with me today.
Thank you, David.
It's a real privilege.
As it is for me.
Thanks. So today we are joined by Janeen Best. She is a local real estate investor and also a real estate agent with me here at Real Estate Essentials. She has shown herself to be very knowledgeable on a variety of subjects, but the subject that we're trying to get to today is seller financing.
Yes.
A lot of people don't understand anything about it, and I'd have to say that my knowledge is probably minimal. So I hope that I can learn something through this process too.
Thanks. Thanks for giving me a chance to talk about it.
Yeah, glad to do it. Maybe a good place to start is to have you tell us a little bit about your real estate journey. Like, how did you get started? What drew you into being an investor, and what drew you into being an agent?
Well, that's a fun question because I've been an investor for about 25 years. And I used to teach school and decided that wasn't quite what I wanted to do. I decided to be an investor and an agent because I didn't want to just look in windows. I wanted to open doors. And so 21 years ago, I actually came across an investment group that taught me education on how to do many different strategies. And at first I started as an investor in lease options. And I bought 28 homes that way. And I optioned them out to other people, and they were going to buy the properties from me. We were going to split the equity, and that went very well. So I've specialized in a lot of things, but now my real love is seller finance.
Okay, it sounds like we've got a lot to learn from you then. Let's go right into that seller finance then. Can you speak to somebody who's new to real estate or new to buying a home? What exactly is seller financing?
That's a really good question. It actually has been around for a very long time. Back in the 80s, people didn't just go to a bank and qualify for a loan because interest rates were 18%.
Oh, right.
And that's when I started buying some of my first properties, actually in the 70s and 80s. And we bought a home in Washington, D.C. when my husband was in the military. It was 1,800 square feet, $180,000. And the interest rate was 18%.
Ouch.
It hurt a lot to buy that home.
That would.
The experience of that home taught me I didn't ever want that kind of an interest rate again. So it was many years after that we bought another home. Now the interest rates are high, according to a lot of people, 6 and 7%.
But not relatively.
Not relatively. But it all depends on your lifestyle and what you want. So seller finance actually has been around a very long time, even back into the 80s.
Okay.
It's very popular now, and a lot of people want seller finance.
So talk to us about that. Why is it popular now, and what's the right scenario for seller financing to work?
That's a really good question, David. So the reason that it's popular right now is the interest rates are high. So if you are a buyer right now, at any time actually, you would go to a bank and they would see if you fit in their box. Usually it's a credit union, a bank, or a mortgage company. Those are the choices people have.
Yep.
And they always have a box that they want you to answer their questions. Do you do this? Are you a W-2? What is your down payment? Where did you get it? How did you season it? They want to look at your tax returns. They fit you in their criteria.
And if you don't fit in that box, no loan for you.
No loan for you. And they'll say, well, come back when you fit in our box. About 60% of the people in the population now don't fit in the box. For
Because
example,
home prices are high and interest rates are relatively high as
exactly. Plus, now, if you traditionally do fit in a box, they cap you at 10 homes. That means if you go to buy a rental property, they look at your own home, and then they say, okay, now you've got to fit in this box. You've got to have not only your own home, now you want another home. A lot of people can't qualify for more than one home. But if you're an investor, you say, well, I want more homes. I want real estate as part of my portfolio. And so they cap you now at 10 homes. What that means is when you go to buy another home, you have to show 6 months reserves of payments per property per house.
Ooh,
So the
that's
more
a lot of
homes
money.
you get, the more you have to have in reserves.
I I see.
And that includes your own property. Now with seller finance, you don't go to a bank. You don't go to a credit union. You don't go to a mortgage company. It's the seller who is the one that's your bank.
They're financing for you. So you're saying that seller financing opens up financing opportunities that many real estate buyers or investors wouldn't have otherwise.
And sellers too.
And sellers too. Yeah, that's a good point. It can be to their advantage as well.
Exactly. So let's look at the seller side.
Okay.
Back in 2021, 22, a lot of people refinanced. There was an interest rate of under 4%. About 60% of the population have interest rates under 4%.
Right.
A lot of them are even in the twos.
Yep.
So if traditionally as a seller, you sell your home, away goes that interest rate. Traditionally, it's sold and it's gone.
You're right. So even though you made a wise choice in buying a home or refinancing when those rates were low, as soon as you go to move out of that house, sell it, that perfectly timed refinance does you no good.
Exactly. And so what happens is if you're sitting on one of those interest rates, even under 5%, those interest rates are not coming back, especially the ones under 4%.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you sell that home, you're giving away that interest rate permanently. If you have those interest rates as a seller, you're sitting on a gold mine.
Mm.
If you own your home free and clear and have no mortgage payment, you own that gold mine. As soon as you sell it, you've both given away all your gold.
All the future digging.
Exactly.
For lack of a better word.
Exactly. And what happens then is you traditionally then go buy another home at a higher interest rate.
Yep.
That's why we're seeing a lot of sellers who don't want to sell right now.
Right.
Why would they want to sell their 3% interest rate and go buy a 7%? And yet they may have to sell, or they have a larger family, or they're moving, or their job has transferred them.
Yep.
Many reasons people still want to sell and have to sell, but all they know is the traditional way.
So maybe there's a way that you can sell the home to meet your lifestyle needs, but still keep the rate and profit from it as well.
Exactly. So that's where seller finance also comes in.
Okay.
So this is how it works with seller finance. We have a seller, say, who has a $500,000 home, and they're going to move. They need to move. And we have a buyer who can qualify but may not want that higher interest rate, or maybe they can't qualify or don't want to qualify.
Yep.
So we line the buyer up and the seller up. Let's say that seller has that house for $500,000. We've done all the comparables. We know that's the value. Well, they're not just selling their house, they're selling their interest rate with it. What that means is that's a valuable commodity that they have.
It's almost like a second asset.
Exactly.
You have the asset of the home, but you have an asset of a low interest rate mortgage.
Yes.
Interesting.
And so now we actually say that's worth more than a $500,000 home. It's worth that interest rate. Now they're not going to sell their 3% interest rate for 3%. They're going to use a spread of interest, and this is all done with all of the attorneys, all the paperwork, everything is legal. And so they say, okay, I want 5% interest. And so the buyer says, okay, how much do you want down? Well, we get a large down payment. Oftentimes it's 15 to 20% down. So let's say then that the seller says, okay, I want $525,000 for my home. Now there's no traditional appraisal done. Do you think it's worth more for that seller to say, I'm getting more for my house because I have an asset of an interest that you're going to get in a higher, lower than the conventional?
Sure it is.
As it is.
So you're saying they could potentially get a higher sales price because they're offering seller financing.
Exactly. That's exactly what happens.
Cool.
And so they're not even in competition with anybody else out there who are selling traditionally because they're not giving their interest rate. Now,
Right.
they earned that interest rate. They qualified for that lower interest rate. Therefore, that is their interest rate.
Mm-hmm.
So now the buyer says, okay, how much do you want down? Well, 20%. Okay, that's $100,000. Do you think there are people out there that would have that kind of money?
There's got to be some.
A lot. A lot of people.
Maybe somebody who just sold their house that has appreciated over the last 6 or 7 years.
Exactly.
Okay.
And in addition, there are about 60% of the population who have those low interest rates. So now that seller says, okay, I want the 100,000. So as an agent, we get all the contracts done through an attorney. Everything is correct. Then that down payment comes to the seller at closing. So they get 100,000 of their $525,000 value. So now the seller is still carrying the mortgage in their name.
Uh-huh.
Okay? That's why it's called seller finance. A third party makes and collects the payment from the new buyer. And that payment goes into their account from the buyer over to the mortgage company. The mortgage is paid, and the cash flow between the equity that is left and that interest spread goes to the seller. The seller moves on, and the buyer moves into the house.
Understood. So let's maybe just throw out some rough numbers. Let's say that with the 5% interest that you mentioned, $525,000 price. I don't know exactly what that would be in terms of a payment, but it's probably $4,000 or $5,000.
So what we do is we show you on our calculator how much the payment would be. That would include the principal, the interest, the tax, insurance, and HOA if there is one.
Mm-hmm.
That's the responsibility now of the new buyer.
Mm-hmm.
And so on the calculator, we show what that new payment is going to be, and then also what the payment is that the seller has. And that interest spread ends up being a lot of cash flow every month to that seller.
Yeah, cool. Even if it was a difference of $1,000 a month.
Yep,
I would love to have an extra $1,000 coming in a month.
absolutely.
Just because I've kept my mortgage and financed the sale of the house myself.
That's right. Now let's look at it this way. The seller owns the title still to the home, okay?
Mhm.
His name is on the mortgage, and he has the title. The buyer has a notice of interest filed, so there's really two owners. It's
Okay.
just like when you buy a car at a dealership. Let's say you go and buy a car, and you put a $20,000 car, and you put down $10,000. And then the bank carries the other 10.
Mm-hmm.
Who owns that car?
A little of both of you, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
You tell people, I just bought a new car.
Uh-huh.
Can you drive the car?
Sure.
Can you paint the car?
Sure.
Do you insure the car?
Of course.
Can you take that car cross country?
Anywhere you want.
Because you're the buyer. You own the car.
Okay.
But who has the title till you pay it off?
The bank holds it.
The bank. That's the same with seller finance. The seller still is responsible and owns the house, but you also are a buyer. That's why you get cash flow as a seller without tenants or toilets. What do I mean by tenants or toilets?
That means that you're not actually renting the property. You're not responsible for the maintenance. And you've got somebody that's in the home that actually will care for it because they're thinking of it as their home.
And it is.
Yeah.
They have a notice of interest. Now, the third party is very important because as those payments are made, there's a paper trail. And every month, the buyer and the seller receive from that third party, which is an escrow company, payments showing that everything was made.
Uh-huh.
And then at the end of the year, both parties get a 1099 and a 1098 for their taxes.
Okay.
Now, there's something called a balloon. What is your understanding about a balloon?
A balloon typically means that at some future date, the full value of the mortgage or loan comes due.
Exactly. A lot of times people say, well, I want the rest of my money, I want all of the equity out in 5 years. That would be a balloon. That would mean that those people who are the owners with you would qualify traditionally and pay out that loan. What we are finding is that as people understand seller finance, would they ever want to get rid of that cash flow they're getting on that money from the bank?
Probably not.
And so a lot of times people don't want a balloon. We show them how much money they are actually making on their interest. We actually have a calculator showing them that usually they can make between 14 and 15 to 18% on their money that they have in that home.
Wow. Just because the money that they have tied up in that property isn't that substantial compared to the amount of cash flow it's generating.
Exactly, and it's called compounded interest.
Right.
We're making money on the bank's money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's another thing that is a really good thing. Remember when I said traditionally, if you're an investor, you're locked at 10 homes?
Yeah.
Well, I personally have bought 28 homes.
Oh.
And
Okay.
in those 28 homes, it was when my husband and I were buying, and we put them on our credit. Now they've changed all that. They lock you at 10 homes.
Mm-hmm.
But with seller finance, there is no limit. Why would that be, David?
Because every person who is financing a home for you still has a vested interest in that home until that loan is repaid.
And you're not qualifying. It's not on your credit report. It's
Oh.
on theirs.
Right.
And so as a result, there is no limit on how many seller finance homes you can have. For example, I've worked with an agent who himself has done a lot of seller financing and owns 44 seller finance homes and cash flows $40,000 a month
Oof.
with no tenants or toilets.
That's not bad.
Not a bad payday.
Yeah.
He's about 42
You
years
could
old.
live on that.
You could live on that. He actually says he's at the 18th hole of the golf course. He really doesn't think he needs much more.
Oh my. Wow. What a
That's
great
a
setup.
really good reason why both buyer and seller like seller finance. What would be the advantage, do you think, for the buyers?
They're able to get into the home now even though they wouldn't be able to qualify for traditional financing.
Yeah. And maybe they don't really want to traditionally get a higher interest rate.
Yeah.
But it's always left to the buyer and the seller. We negotiate all of that. There might be a balloon payment, or they might say, no, we want a prepayment penalty. We don't want you to pay this off.
So you can negotiate the rate, you can negotiate the down payment, you can negotiate the length of the loan.
Exactly.
What else can you negotiate?
You can negotiate how many years you want it amortized. For example, traditionally, we amortize for 30 years.
Mhm.
But if there's a certain payment that either or both parties want, we just negotiate how long the amortization is. All of that can be changed to meet the needs of everybody. It's a win-win for both sides.
Wow, I can see that. That is pretty cool. As you're talking about that, one thing comes to mind. You have now turned over responsibility as a seller. You've turned over responsibility for those payments to the buyer.
Exactly.
What happens if that buyer says, you know what, I gotta move, I'm done with this place, I'm not paying anymore?
That's a good question. So there's actually two questions with that question, David. First of all, let's talk about they have decided not to make the payment anymore. Well, that's part of the reason that we like a large down payment, because they're invested in the property. Should
Hard
they
to
decide,
walk away from.
right?
Okay.
But if they decide to walk away from it, they don't get their down payment back. There's a period of time in which they either can catch it up or they are in foreclosure and they have to move out. And we discuss all of that. The other thing that can also happen is maybe they have to move. And so we also say, okay, should for any unknown reason that you no longer want to live in this home and you want to sell the home, you need to do it on seller finance. And we'll find another buyer who wants to buy on seller finance so that the original person on the loan still doesn't have his 3% paid off.
I see. And then, that's interesting. And then it sounds like, let's say you sell it on 30-year terms, but you as the seller of the property only have 10 years left on your mortgage.
That's a blessing because now all of that's cash flow to you.
Yeah, as soon as you're done paying your mortgage.
Doesn't mean theirs is over.
Right.
The other thing
and you
is,
can just, it's almost like you can keep milking that out forever.
yeah, you're making good money.
Wow.
Now, the other thing too, the buyer is the one who gets the appreciation of the home. The seller gets the interest rate.
Okay. So at the point that you enter into this transaction, you as a seller have gotten your price.
Yes.
Price is done at that point.
That's why we
And the buyer
increase
will
it.
get whatever appreciation beyond that.
Yes.
Makes
Now
sense.
let's say down the road, they say, okay, I want to move. So what is it that they need to do in order to move?
They need to have the new buyers agree to use seller financing through you.
That's right. So they get paid out their spread of equity, or they get a monthly check too from that spread.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go back and let's say here's the seller who sold his 3% for 5, and the seller says, okay, I'll find somebody to take, or as agents we find them, and we say, what do you want? Well, now maybe his house has gone up to 600. It's the same house, but he's got 75,000 equity in it.
Yep.
But he also put down 100. Okay, but this balance is still the original seller's house, and it's still going down, being paid off, but he's getting his cash flow. Now this new person buys it, and he ends up being the end buyer who moves in. This other one gets his cash flow too. It's a win-win for everybody.
Wow. There are so many different angles.
A lot of different angles.
I love it. Well, it sounds like you would be happy to instruct anybody who has questions on this.
I love seller finance. I specialize in seller finance. I've looked at tons of different options to invest my time and knowledge in.
And you teach classes as well.
I teach classes. I do. I teach classes.
Are the classes for buyers, investors, or other
agents, buyers, investors, agents and their investors? I just want people to understand this, and because it is a tremendous tool in our toolbox. Whether we're buyers, sellers, or agents, investors, it's just an excellent tool. It's like if you go and buy a car, like I said, you own that car, but you might have maintenance on that car.
Yeah.
A hammer is not going to fix all the maintenance you need on that car. So you've got to have a toolbox for your investment, and that's the same with seller finance. It gives you more tools for your toolbox.
Okay. I like what you said there. That helps a lot. So much to learn, yet I think you've distilled the concept very well.
A lot of people wonder if this is legal. It is totally legal. It's all regulated. Everything is done through attorneys and contracts. It's even on our MLS as seller finance. We have lots of classes that we take. I've taken hundreds and hundreds of hours of training and classes and doing seller finance.
Wow. That's really cool. I've learned a lot. I really appreciate you sharing that. Do you have any other thoughts that you feel like you'd like people to know about seller financing?
The other thing that I really love about seller financing is an easy way to have your children help you as well. And when you have your children help you with this, they learn the tools too. So it's just like going back to that car. If you teach a person how to drive the car, they learn to drive. They don't learn as much if they're sitting in the passenger seat.
Right.
So it's driver's ed for parents as well.
I like it. That's great. Thanks. Should we move on to the next topic? I wanted
Yeah.
to talk to you about how you invest as a real estate investor. Maybe could you start by just telling us about the types of real estate investing you like to do? Because there are a lot of different ways that
Yeah.
you can invest in real estate.
There are. Well, I've specialized, like I said, in seller finance, but I've also done lease options. Now, with lease option, that is one form of seller finance. The difference is the person has a contract to rent a property and an option to buy it. And usually they'll put under $5,000 or $10,000. So they don't have a lot invested.
Yeah.
You really have a glorified renter, okay? So
Okay.
you still have the tenants and the toilets. So I've done those two specifically, but there are other things that I have also done. One of them is called velocity banking. And in velocity banking, that teaches you how to pay off a home as well as multiple properties in 7 years or less.
Yeah, this was a new concept to me recently, and for a guy who's always been in finance, it blew my mind.
So you've learned a little bit about velocity banking.
I have.
So tell me what you've learned.
Okay, what I've learned is that for most typical loan types, like mortgages, auto loans, things like that, those are set up as amortized loans. And that means that in payment one, a very, very high portion of your payment is going to interest and profit to the bank,
Exactly.
with a very small amount going to principal. So for a 30-year mortgage, it takes many, many years before you're actually putting more into the principal payment than you are paying in interest.
Yes, and that's usually about 15 or 16 years.
Right.
How many people do you think carried that mortgage that long?
Very few.
Very few. Traditionally, people refinance every 6 or 7 years, which means they start the clock over.
Right, and you're back to not paying your principal down very
Exactly.
quickly. So what I understand of velocity banking is that you can use the equity in your home as a means to kind of carry loans for yourself, rather than having an auto loan with a lender and an amortized loan. You could have that as part of your home equity
Yes.
line, and when you do that, you are being charged simple interest rather than amortized interest, which means that the percentage of each payment is much more heavily weighted towards the principal than the interest.
Exactly.
And that's what allows you to pay down principal so much more quickly.
Yes, that's right. The other thing too, David, is that in traditional mortgage, you make your mortgage payment. Say it's $1,500 a month.
Mm-hmm.
So every month I make my mortgage payment, and maybe $12 goes to principal, and I plug along, and then I get called, you can qualify for a new mortgage at such and such rate. And so I start the clock all over.
Yeah.
So I start now, and I'm now paid off my credit cards into a new mortgage. But then I start using my credit cards again. And it's a vicious cycle that a lot of people are in about every 6 to 7 years.
Wow. And do I understand when you're using that velocity banking, you will typically try to keep your checking and savings account balances low and basically handle all of your monetary transactions through this home equity line?
That's true. Now, here's the other thing. I've used this myself, and I love it because it does teach you how to pay off your homes in sometimes less than 7 years, 7 to 10 years, not a 30-year. But when you traditionally pay your mortgage, say I've got a mortgage of $1,500, and it's due on the 1st, and I make it on the 1st or the 5th, and sometimes we say, oh, I can wait till the 15th because I won't get a late payment. Anyway, every month that mortgage payment is due. Now, let's say I have a family situation and I have just sent off my $1,500 a month mortgage payment. And emergency comes up and I have no emergency fund. Can I go get my mortgage payment back from the...
I won't give it to you.
Absolutely not. But on a HELOC, and I use this. So I had a mortgage that I made a payment to faithfully every month. Then I got a HELOC for $80,000. And I used Velocity Banking as my banking account. So my money, I would use the Velocity Banking techniques. And in that Velocity Banking, I would make a payment. And then I would need to make a payment for the money I took out, right? So let's say I had an $80,000 home equity line and I used $5,000 of it. Well, I needed to pay that payment back. So I would make that payment, okay? And then I could use it again. So with a home equity line, it's like a credit card. You use it and repay it, you use it and repay it. But it's simple interest. It's not compounded interest like our mortgage payments.
Yes.
And that's why you can use it as a checking and savings account. So when I have an emergency come up, that doesn't mean go buy a car out of my equity line.
Right.
We're talking about real estates. This is the difference that I like about real estate. They are real estates. They're inheritable land or homes.
Yes.
Real estates. And so with home equity line, we're taught with Velocity Banking the correct way to use those. And that is to get us out of debt, not put us in further.
Love that. What a great concept.
Yep.
So if somebody is interested in becoming a real estate investor for the first time, where do they start?
That's a really good question. There are a lot of institutions out there that teach that. There are a lot of books that teach that. There are a lot of self-taught people who are very successful. I personally have belonged to a group of education people, and I love the education. We have over 500 plus hours of education. We have practicing instructors. Do you know what that would mean?
That means they are not just practicing in theory, they actually invest themselves.
And they're doing what they teach. We have over 45 different instructors teaching over 90 different classes. 500 plus hours of instruction.
Wow.
One of those classes is that Velocity Banking.
Cool.
But we have all kinds. We have mentors that and instructors, practicing instructors that teach us on all kinds of fields. That's how I learned my seller finance. Part of that I learned from there. I learned it from mentors myself and other educators. But the thing that I love about this education, one size doesn't fit all.
No.
And so you find the size that fits you.
There's so many unique situations in our finances, and there's so many unique situations with each home and each deal.
That's right.
You've really got to have, like you, back to your point, you've got to have that toolbox ready to go so you pull the right tool out at the right time.
And when the economy changes, we change with the economy because we have the knowledge. I guess that's what the most important thing is. The most important real estate you'll ever get are the 6 inches between your ears. Maybe it's 12. 6 is too small.
That's a high rent district.
Yeah, it's a high rent district. And we all spend so much money on our education. You know, I have a degree in elementary education.
Right.
What's your degree in?
It's in finance.
And have you used a lot of it?
Well, no.
What did you do with your college degree?
I went to work in the financial services field. I've always worked for brokerage firms, handling the servicing of clients who are invested in the stock markets.
And did you make a lot of money doing that?
Depends on the day.
Tell me more.
There were certainly concepts that I knew and learned from my university training, but what really solidified the concepts for me is when I started to invest my own money. Sometimes you get very expensive lessons by making a poor investment. Sometimes you get patted on the back for doing a good job by having a great investment. So what you learn in school just gets you through the door, and then you learn as you actually practice.
Yep.
That's what I learned.
Why did you become a real estate agent?
I love homes. I love helping people fulfill their dreams. And I know how important having a great home is for me. So I would love to help other people find the same type of environment and the same type of comfort that I get from my home.
And that's why I became both an agent and an investor, because, you know, I've done the fix and flip, I've done rehabs, I've done all different things. I love to go into Home Depot when they're cutting wood. I love the smell of wood.
Soaking it all up.
I love to see the beautiful homes. I love to see the homes that need to be beautified.
Yes. Yeah.
I love to help people, like you said, fulfill their biggest dreams.
Yes.
And that is the home.
Home is a huge one for so many people.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in a very fortunate spot that we can help people that way. We've got great colleagues. We've got a great brokerage that we work for. So we are very fortunate that way, and it is a fun business to be in. Besides that, it's a people business.
It's a people business.
And I know from knowing you, that is your jam.
Well, I used to teach school, elementary ed, and that was because when I went to college, we had 3 choices. That's all we had, really.
Wow.
And our choices were to be a school teacher, or a nurse, an airline stewardess, or a secretary. My parents insisted that I had to have a college degree, so that gave me an option of being a school teacher or a nurse. I can't do blood. So that gave me one option. And when I got my degree and started teaching, I thought, I don't want to be out here on recess duty.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't want to be in a classroom.
Yep.
I love children. I have 10 of my own. I've birthed 10 with my husband. But the thing is, now, I have always been a butterfly. I like the outdoors. I like being out where I see the world, where I can share with other people. And I love real estate. I love the homes. I love going in them. I love helping people. I love the excitement when they find the home they really want.
It's such a great feeling.
It is. And you know, we're closing on one. I've got a buyer that we're closing on next week.
Yeah.
And it's gone so smoothly.
Perfect.
It's just been wonderful. And they are so excited about this new home. And it's so fun to see people who find what they're looking for.
Oh, I'll bet that is. And I'll just mention it's a compliment to you that it has gone smoothly, because a good agent sees things a mile away. They don't let problems pop up because they're already a step ahead of those.
Yeah.
So kudos to you for being on top of your business, knowing how to execute and help your clients get through the process smoothly. That's a huge win.
And you know, it's so fun when it goes right.
Yeah.
It doesn't always go right.
It doesn't always go
Life
right.
happens, you know.
It does, for sure. Well, we're getting towards the end of our conversation. We've talked about seller finance. That's been great. We've talked about real estate investment. Also really helpful things to know. I'd like to just switch maybe to a little bit of personal information from you.
Okay.
And these are more like broad lessons. As you think about your life and the things that you've done, is there one piece of wisdom that you like to live by or like to frequently share with those you love?
Yes. I am a jet airliner on the runway. I haven't just landed. I'm taking off. And you know what else, David?
What's that?
I've come to understand there's never a jet airliner on the runway alone.
No. Got to have a lot of people to get them there.
So I always say, get your wings and come fly with me.
Well, I do see that in you. I love that you are so willing to help others and share the knowledge that you have. It's fantastic.
It's fun. I've been very, very blessed. I have a wonderful family. I'm grateful for my children, my grandchildren. I have posterity now, 84, and growing. Just got another great grandbaby this week. It's fun to be with them. It's fun to know them as adults.
Yeah.
I was always excited for that new baby, and now I'm even more excited as I see them as adults.
Oh, I cannot imagine. No
It's
grandkids here yet, but maybe at some point in the future, we'll see.
Yep.
Oh, that's so exciting, and it serves you right for having a family like that. the real estate market and life in general can be challenging. How do you stay motivated and upbeat through all of life's ups and downs?
That's a good question too. It's not always been up. I
No?
think nobody gets
What?
always up.
You've had downs?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think anybody gets out of this life without that. That's part of what's the good part about life, is that we keep going for the good and
Yeah.
try to learn to live with the bad.
The bad keeps it interesting. We don't appreciate the good if we don't have the bad.
Isn't that true?
Yeah. It's almost like when you get a piece of chocolate. If that chocolate is nothing but sweet, it's good, but add a little salt to it, a little contrast, really flavors it up.
Does it?
Yeah.
I do that with watermelon. I'll have to try it with chocolate.
So yeah, you can get salted caramels is probably the most common way that's done, but there's a lot of chocolates that will have just a little taste of salt in it. Makes it better. It's kind of like, I'm sure you've had the experience of baking cookies or something. If you
Yeah.
don't put salt in,
Yep.
you notice the difference, and it's not that it has a distinctly salty taste, but
It enhances.
it's just not right. Yeah,
Yep.
it's an enhancement. So I think that our life's difficult moments are all about adding that flavor to the life that we lead.
Yes, I agree.
I know you do. This has been an awesome conversation.
I've enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
I've enjoyed it too. It's been a lot of fun. I've learned some things along the way, so thank you for sharing your knowledge. We'll have the opportunity to share this with many other people too. Tell me though, I'd like for you to talk about how people can connect with you. If this message, these ideas resonate with somebody, how can they reach out to you?
Well, thank you. I have my phone number with my kids in Colorado, but I can give that to you. It's
Okay.
303-585-0490. And
Okay.
it's Janeen Best. And I would love to help anyone who'd like to know more. If you're interested in seller finance, I think it's a win-win for both buyer and seller. And so I'd like to help you learn how to think out of the box and make it a win-win for you too.
Oh my goodness, yes. I can see the advantages already. That's great. So the best way to reach you is through your phone number, either
Yeah.
a call or a text.
Yeah,
Do you do social media?
I do.
Okay. How would they find you there?
Okay, so I'm on Facebook.
Uh-huh.
I love new friends. I always want new friends. And to me, a friend is somebody you just haven't met yet.
That's right.
I believe in the 3-foot rule everywhere I go. You know what the 3-foot rule is?
I think as it applies to you, it's probably anybody that comes within 3 feet of you will be your friend.
That's right. I don't stalk. But I just talk to everybody. And I believe everybody is a friend. We just haven't met them yet.
Yes.
And we can never have enough friends.
I agree with that. You never know what somebody is going to add to your life. Even if you have a moment's interaction with somebody today and never see them again, it's quite possible that they could have changed your life through something they said, something they did, some thought that came to mind as you interacted with them.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I recently met a man only for 10 hours. I saw him one time when I was doing a open house. He came to the open house with his wife. And then I found out that he was a pianist and he was going to be playing in Park City that night. I went up and listened to him for 3 hours. For 3 hours, he never had one sheet of music.
Wow.
And people were in this hotel bar situation, just listening to him play. Tears were running down my face. I just was so touched.
Oh.
And so I went back 2 more times, the next Saturday and the Saturday after.
Yeah.
So I only knew him for 10 hours. But he touched my soul
Mm.
like nobody else. And his
Wow.
talent is so incredible. So even though we might only have brief moments with people,
They can
people do touch our lives.
They do. You've touched my life, Janeen.
Thanks, you might too.
That is a sweet way to end. I
Thanks.
think we can wrap up on that note. We've learned some really great things today. If these messages have been helpful, please contact Janeen. She is a superstar in everything that she does. So I highly recommend and highly encourage you to talk to Janeen, unless, of course, you're my friend, and then you better use me as your agent. So call me first.
Call him for the agent. And we can also work together on the seller finance too, but I always recommend him too.
That's very nice of you. So I'll give my number. My number is area code 801-637-6869. I'm on Facebook and Instagram as DaveArch3. And hope to be able to talk to you soon. Please do reach out if either Janeen or I can help you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thank
too.
you all for listening in.
That's right. Thanks.